Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's get into Monday Night Football. Apologies for this video coming out late. We have to get this going though because this is a great betting matchup between the Houston Texans and the Dallas Cowboys. And last night we did not get it done. We were on the wrong side of a lot of different bets within that Sunday Night Football game. It seemingly just looks to be that was one of the easiest layups. It was a popular bet across the board for a lot of considered sharps out there that laid it with the Los Angeles Chargers. Both Herbert and Burrow had outstanding performances in terms of stat lines, and Jamar Chase obviously continues his surge. So it was one fun to watch, just not get it done for the Bengals. So seemingly their season is kaput, and that's kind of where we're going to look into Burrow. I mean, you got to get him a line, you got to get him out of there or something, because it's just a waste of talent there in Cincinnati, despite them making a Super Bowl appearance early on in his career. Okay, so let's get into the game. We will have a lot of picks. I'm going to give you guys just kind of what I like, and obviously these are just my leans. I'll tell you guys if I am going to bet something. With all the primetime games, what I usually do is I end up finding a way to combine this all with some more favorable numbers, and then I do like taking advantage of the boosts that we have. If I am going to make a same game parlay for tonight's contest, I will post that over in the Discord a little bit later on in the evening. All right, I just want to wait and see where injuries take us, where the numbers move. I know that props do move, but the way I bet it, it really doesn't matter. So I just kind of want to get locked into the right numbers and plays. Okay, let's get into it. If you are new to the channel, awesome. Please subscribe down below. Consider subscribing here on the platform. Welcome to TBM, where we do have picks every single day. Also, if you want to become a channel member and give back, that's one way to support us. If you want to do so, there are links down below in the description. And for this video, we are going to use Outlier to dive into the picks. Okay, so let's go over the game at face value. And right now we look at the Houston Texans, now 7.5-point favorites. It's a plus money price there. If you want to get it at even money, you can still find sevens out there. So if you want to wait for a 7, go for it. I do see that the number has moved a lot within the total, now sitting at 41.5. We're going to look at that, possibly a primetime under as well. I like this more so on the side of the Cowboys going under their team total. I'm going to share with you guys those numbers as well. I'm not buying into the whole Cooper Rush stuff. I think that we do see both of these squads look to run the ball a lot more, and it's kind of where I'm at in this game. So I think that the passing game for the Cowboys is going to be looking to be somewhat null and void, I think, for this matchup. Okay, and then likewise within the Texans, we do get Nico Collins. I think he's going to have some training wheels left off last week. Maybe they just kind of eased him back into action, but I think between him and Tank Dell, they're going to be able to attack this Dallas Cowboys secondary, and the way that the secondary does play, and the way that they match up in their game plan, at least the style of football that they line up in terms of formation. On defense, I think that this is going to be a very, very I would say plus matchup for Nico Collins, as long as he's able to go. Okay, so that's kind of where we're gonna get into it. Let's get into the picks. Like I said, 7.5 total at 41.5. A lot of the handle is on the Cowboys and the over, if that's what we're gonna call it. It's not enough to make me say one way or another. That's a glaring discrepancy that's gonna make me want to bet it. But let's get into the numbers here. I don't really want to use any matchup stats for this because of the fact that Dak Prescott's not going. But if you look at the Cowboys defense, they are pretty much horrible in the red zone. That's going to set up well for one of my props, as well as the yards per play. They give up a lot of yards per play. In the prop market, though, that's not always a good thing, because you don't want to have big plays. Okay, very rarely do big plays lead for cashing tickets of props, because it does just limit that time of possession. So yeah, if you have that one player that has a huge play, great, but it causes very much a variance within leads. And then if your team gets up big, it gets down big, it does change the game script, which ultimately ends up hurting props if you are kind of spread out there within each game. Okay, if we look at the Texans on offense, a little bit of a regression in C.J. Stroud's sophomore slump. By the numbers, Diggs out for the year does hurt. Also, Nico Collins, Tank Dell in and out of action as well. So this is going to be an interesting line, though, because of what we have coming with the Dalton Schultz return to Dallas game. If there's going to be a storyline there, we'll see what happens. Defensively, though, if we do look at the Texans, they cause a lot of turnovers. Okay, so it's one reason why I don't see any profitability taking the Cowboys. I think that this Dallas offense too, if we want to talk about it, it's kind of hard because they're number 2 in, they are averaging 2 turnovers a game, so 31st in that metric. So this will be an interesting kind of narrative. However, I don't really want to use any season-long statistics just due to the fact that Dak Prescott's not going, okay? But let's get into the actual kind of numbers here, because this is kind of, as I went through the injury reports and where we are at, you look at kind of Will Anderson being out, Diggs out, as we all know, Mario Edwards too, another big loss for them, and the Cowboys seemingly Bland needs to come back for that secondary. Obviously, no reason to rush him back now. Brandon Cooks is on the IR, missing some definite help from the offensive line as well. Okay. But here's where we're going to dive into some insights for this game. More so, I want to look into the Texans here. 1-4 ATS in their last 5 games versus bottom 10 scoring defenses. So when they get these big numbers, it's because they're playing bad defenses, so on and so forth. And then C.J. Stroud, the back door has been wide open, not really getting it done ATS against bottom 10s. If we look into kind of the kicking standpoint, there's a couple things that stick out to me. That's where we have Fairbairn getting over 8.5 kicking points in 83% of the last 6 games. Right now, plus 100. I almost bet this one. I love taking kicking props on primetime. We get a lot of field goals. It plays to the trend and narrative of unders, and that's kind of where we're going to get into within Aubrey as well. Aubrey has exceeded 1.5 made field goals in 7 of his last 8 home games. The only thing that really scares me with this is, Cooper Rush not finishing off drives, but do they get there enough to be able to kick the field goal? Seemingly, when they are playing in a dome in Dallas, Aubrey will just he'll launch field goals from wherever. He's one of the biggest legs and most reliable kickers in the NFL. Okay, so that's definitely something I'm going to be entertaining. And also the under with the Texans, like I talked about ATS, 6 of the last 8 games versus bottom 10 defenses, so very profitable. That's why we've seen that number shrink. Now sitting at 41.5. Okay, so let's get into kind of some of the odds here as we look into kind of the team narrative for the Dallas Cowboys. All right, if we look into the total points scored for the Cowboys, this is where you see this number. If you want to go under, okay, you're going to have to pay a little bit, but this is kind of where 17.5 at minus 148. That's a bet that I do like. I know it's something where it is juiced up. DraftKings offering minus 148. But the under 17.5 is kind of where I lay on that. It's something where you can't really have this discussion. Under 14.5 at plus money, plus 132. That's tempting. I just worry about some garbage time. And we might stay under the total. But if the Dallas Cowboys end up squeaking out late field goal or something, 17 gives us a cushion. And also, I do think there's a potential for a very good showing for this Houston Texans in terms of defense. If you want to look at first half team total, that's another avenue I thought about doing, but seemingly with these primetime games, despite the opponent, the Cowboys offensively seem to have a little bit more of an incentive to play in primetime spots. So it would not shock me if we do get a big game out of CeeDee Lamb. I'm not in love with anything Lamb related. If we want to talk about kind of where he's at, I'll dive into this because it is something that I want to share with you guys in terms of player props. We'll get down this list. Okay, but receiving for CeeDee Lamb, you see this number. Okay, we're sitting there, and it's kind of a nice number, to be honest. I mean, not too often do we get CeeDee Lamb, where you could get him less than $1.40 to go over 50 yards receiving. So he's cashed that in 8 of his last 10. But the thing is, with the 2 games with Cooper Rush, both of these contests, he did not eclipse this mark, 47 and 21 respectively. Okay, so it's kind of where you lean into the fact that we might see some more running of the football, but if you do think they find some chemistry in game 3 of their campaign, then CeeDee Lamb provides a lot of value there, over 49.5. Probably would even bet that one up to 60 too if you wanted to get some plus money. DraftKings right now is offering the best number out there outside of Prize Picks is Bet 365 minus 110 for over 57.5. Okay, a couple things else we're going to go into. I do like the Nico Collins receiving yards. However, I am going to play him over the longest reception. Right now, Nico Collins at 74.5. I don't hate it, but I don't love it either. So Nico Collins expectingly to have a big game. I think he's going to tear up the Dallas secondary. It's just kind of right on there for me at 74.5. So I do like the longest reception, and I do like his actual receptions. Okay. And that's kind of where you see his average yards per reception is 17.7. He did cash one last game against Buffalo with 39 yards. So that is something where you can look into that. just one big play gets you home. But then we look at the targets and receptions per game. You can see right now he had 2 against Buffalo, 15 targets against the Jacksonville Jaguars and 12 receptions, and that dates back to September 29th. Okay, so there was a little bit of a layoff, but he is coming back, and that's where I think that Nico Collins has a big night against these Dallas Cowboys. Okay, and that's where we're going to lend into more of the outside of the receiving of the football. The only other thing that I'm going to attack is going to be Dalton Schultz. Okay, and I'm going to pull up some Dalton Schultz here for you guys. This is Dalton Schultz. We're going to go receptions, and I do like the over 2.5 here if you can find us on Prize Picks. Right now, 3.5 is a little juiced up, but if you want to go over 2.5 and then you can find it, he has eclipsed this in 7 of his last 10. We do think that Cooper Rush, maybe a little bit more familiarity. I'm sorry, not Cooper Rush, maybe a little more familiarity within C.J. Stroud, playing on the Dallas turf, whatever you want to call it. I just think that they make an effort to get him the football. He's kind of averaging 3, and we're going to take him over 2.5. All right, look at the target share. I want to talk about kind of where he's at in that arena. Target share, he's getting 11%, 15%, 15% within 6 and 4 targets. So as long as he catches 55% of his balls, I think we get home with this. So it's 60% cash rate for me. I love the Dalton Schultz over receptions. A little bit of a narrative too, where he's coming back home to Dallas, his former team. So I'm going Dalton Schultz over receptions in this game Monday night. Okay, and then we will get into the rushing side of it. This is one where I am going to make a parlay. We're going to talk about Joe Mixon, arguably maybe even for some people the most efficient running back that we have in the NFL outside of Derrick Henry. And I want to show you guys the rushing side of it. Okay, Joe Mixon, we're going to go over his rush yards. I think it's too low. Okay, 86.5 at -130. I'm going to bet that. He didn't hit it last game. He only had 46 yards against Detroit. But look at the last 4, okay, in a game script where we do think they might run the football more. If Houston gets up big, they want to run out a lead. That's all things leading to it. Also, they are on the road. I think road teams like to run the football more. Helps with the snap count and also controlling that line of scrimmage. So if we do look at it, I think that this is a pretty safe bet, considering that on the season he has eclipsed this 86.5 on the season. If we look back at it, this would be 5 of his 7 games this season. So 71% in 2024. So I'm going to take this one of my favorite bets. And also we are going to parlay this. I don't like the touchdown market in itself. If we talk about kind of where he's at with a touchdown standpoint, he has a touchdown in every game this season except against Chicago Bears, sometimes multi-touchdowns, but this is a very strong number. 86% of the time in 2024, Joe Mixon has got into the end zone. And right now, as we look into it, that's sitting there. This is not the right number. You're never going to find a -137. I believe that's on Prize Picks. But yeah, FanDuel, all the other betting platforms, -175. So I'm going to couple the anytime touchdown with Joe Mixon, -175. I'm going to put that alongside with him to go over his rush yards. I'm going to get a little bit more in my favor. I'm either going to go 70 plus or 80 plus, 75 plus maybe even, just a little bit of a cushion there. Alternate rush line within a anytime touchdown, a little correlative parlay on the running side of the game, where we'll take Joe Mixon in that regard. Okay, so those are my best bets. And as always, guys, I am going to lean into my same game teaser. That's kind of where we get into the primetime spots. I do like to tease both the side and the total, and that's where I'm going to take the Houston Texans there. Basically get them in a pick'em game with the under 47. That'll pay -130 in a same game teaser. So that's what I got. Appreciate you guys watching. Make sure you subscribe down below. Here are the final plays, like I said. And if you haven't joined us yet on Discord, make sure you do so. Also, give me a follow on X. The handle is in the bottom left of your screen. Appreciate you guys watching. We'll see you all in the next video. Good luck.